network address translation. Now, what is network address translation? It is also called NAT. Now, what it do? It allows the internal network, which is using the private IP address, to connect the WAN network. Now, by default, IPv4 has two type of addresses. Okay, one is the public addresses, and the other is what the private addresses. So, public addresses is available to access the WAN and internet, and private addresses is only used for local area network. So public addresses is used to access the WAN network, internet, and private addresses we can use it for our internal network. Now in case we don't want to access the WAN network, so we use IP addresses. Now when we use private addresses, we cannot able to access the WAN connection. That means if our data goes on to WAN network, and if in that data if it is having a source or destination address anyway having a private address, it is not allowed to go to WAN network. Those routers and switches which is doing the routing and switching on these WAN network, they will not allow these addresses, these private addresses. So these private addresses are leaved by the IANA from the ranges from the different classes of IPv4. Like in class A we have a private IP of 10, the whole range of 10 is the private, and from class B we have IP range from 172.16.0.0 to 172.31.255.255. The whole range is what the private. And for the class C we have 192.168.0.0 to 192.168.255.255. The whole range is private. So they leave these private addresses to use in the local area network for the only private network that does not need to go to WAN. But if you want to go to the WAN network, you need public addresses. Now we have a different problems, and that is why we use this NAT. So basically NAT do what? It converts, it translate it we can say it translate the private IP address to public address. That means if you are having a private address in your machine and still you want to go to the WAN network, so whenever you send any data to WAN network, your source address will always be private. So what it will do, the router, in a router we will configure the NAT, network address translation. So it will do whatever the packet will pass from the router, and if it is having a source address as a private address, then it will translate that address to the public address. So when the packet goes on to the WAN network, so it will not be dropped. So by using this we solve two problems. We solve the problem of network public addresses secrecy. So when we have less public addresses available, nowadays IPv4 addresses are all finished. Almost all public addresses are finished. So we can use NAT to use efficiently to do what? To save some public addresses. For example, we have seen it. So what NAT can do? First, the benefit of NAT is what suppose we are having this LAN network, and if we are using the IP addresses to configure the LAN network. So suppose if we use the public network to public IP addresses to configure the LAN network, then time and time these addresses comes on lease. So when the lease period expires, then maybe the addresses will change. So every time you don't have to change the whole configurations. So you can do what? You can use private IP addresses in the LAN network. So one benefit is that you can use the private network in the LAN network, and that will be fixed. That means you don't have to change anything else. So once you configure it, you will not change it anyway. And if they want to go to the WAN network, then you can use what? NAT. You can use NAT translation on your router, because everyone will go through the router. So what we can do, we can configure the NAT on this router. So what it will do, when any private address try to go, when suppose any machines try to send the data on public network, So it needs public address. So when it says send the data, so on the source address it will be the private address, and on the destination it could be any, but maybe it is the public address. We say it is trying to connect a server on the WAN on the internet. So destination will be public, but the source will be always private. So it will be dropped on the WAN network. So what our router will do, it will change the source address from private to public. It will change it to public address. Now what public address? The public address which we bought. That depend on us, like what public address we want. So that public address we will arrange, and that we will configure on our router. So it is like a mapping. Mapping, like suppose if I say 10.1 comes, this is a private address, source address. So I say translate this into public address. Public address, for example, 20.1. So basically what I am saying, I am doing mapping, that if this source address comes, then change it to this source address. And when the reply comes back from the server, so the source address will be this public address, and the destination will be the source address will become the destination address. That means when this destination address comes for the reply, so it will change to this destination address. So it will do the reverse thing. So it will do what? It will actually map, and it will change the source address from private to public, and then when it comes back the reply, then public to private. So this is what the job of this NAT. So it will save us to every time reconfigure our local network. That means every time if your public address changes, then you don't have to reconfigure this every time. You will configure it, it will become fixed, and whenever the public address changes, then you just have to change the NAT configuration. That is like you just have to change the map. That means previously, suppose first time you configure like the 10.1 will become 20.1. Next time the public address changes, so you can change the mapping. You can say like 10.1 now become something else. For example, 30.1. So what we are doing, we are just changing the mapping, and that will take very less time rather than changing the whole configuration of, suppose we are having 50 or 5,000 machines. So changing the whole configuration of these machines is very difficult than changing the only configuration of NAT. So it will save us very too much time, and it will save us lots of hard work to do this reconfiguration every time. Then what? We can do one more thing. We can save some public IPs also. Like for example, if suppose I am having 5,000 IPs, so by default what I need? 5,000 public IPs also to map 1-to-1. To map 1-to-1. 1-to-1, that means 1-to-1. Like 10.1 will become 20.1, 10.2 will become 20.2, 10.3 will become 20.3, just like that. So if you want to map 1-to-1, then you need the same number of public IPs as the same number of private IPs you have. But in case you want to save some IPs, because arranging this much IPs, this much public IPs is also difficult, because nowadays we don't have available public IPs. Mostly all the IPs are used. So this NAT is also become handy, because it can do what? It can save some public IPs. That means suppose we have 5,000 public private IPs. So for using the 5,000 private IPs, we can use only 1,000 public IPs. So on only 1,000 public IPs, we can use this 5,000 IPs. They all can work by using only this 1,000 IP. Now, how it will work? It will make a little, maybe it will make your network slow, because there is no 1-to-1 mapping. So the other machines have to be wait. Like suppose you are having 1,000 cycles, and you are having 5,000 people to use those cycles. Now when all the 1000 cycles are used, then the rest of the people which came, they have to wait for the other cycles to be free so that they can use it. Or so it is like this, like suppose 1000 IPs are used already, they are in work, they are in doing communication, so rest of the IPs and rest of the host should have to be wait for that IPs to be free, and when those IPs will be available, then they can use. So for this reason your network may go little slow. Then we can use another thing which is called PAT. Now PAT configuration do what? It actually uses port address translation. That means it will not use different public IPs for different private IPs. It will use single public IP. That means we don't need 1000 public IP also. We can use only one IP. We can use only one public IP for all 5000 machines. So it will just use one IP, and what it do actually, it uses the source port. That means suppose 10.1 comes. Now suppose source address is 10.1 and destination is what? Suppose destination is let's say 80.1. So we are accessing some server which is IP is 80.1. For example, I am accessing FTP server. So the FTP server destination port with the destination IP, the destination port will be 21 of FTP. And the source port, remember source ports is assigned randomly. That means it is not necessary to have a fixed 21 port number. It could be any. Let's say 5000. So this is what the packet is. Now when the packet goes out, the request goes out, so it will be like this, and when the reply comes back from the server, so it will be destination port, the source will become destination and destination will become source. That means now destination will be 10.1 and the source will be 80.1. And source port destination port will become source port, and the destination port or the source port will become destination port. This is the normal configuration. This is the normal communication. But in a PAT, what it do here, because this private IP address is not working, we cannot use this private address, and we have only one public address. So what it do here, when any address comes, like for example this 10.1 comes and it is accessing to 80.1, so the IP address is 10.1 and we have only one public address, that is let's say 20.1. So it will be translated to 20.1. The destination will remain same and the destination port will remain same. Now source port it will choose randomly. Now this port it will define, it will router will note that what port it is choosing here. For example, it has chosen 6000. So what it do, it translate 10.1 to this. Now by default normally also ports are chosen randomly. So here it is also choosing random port and it is choosing suppose example 6000. The important is destination port, and then it will send the packet. Now when the reply comes back, so source become destination, destination becomes source. Now how the router understands that this reply is for which private IP? So it will understand by this port number. For example 10.2 also comes. This is also next public private IP. Now he wants to access the internet also. So what it will do here, it will change this 10.2 also to public IP, and the public IP we have only one. So that public IP is 20.1. But what the change it will do, it will use different source port. it will use suppose 6001. So when the request goes out, so it will use different source port number. Now remember, source port is random, so it can choose any port number. Now when the reply comes back, when suppose both the replies come back, then the router will translate it like this. Like if the 6000 is coming, the 6000 reply is coming, that means this is for 10.1. And if 6001 reply comes, that means it is for 10.2. So basically it is doing the translation based on source port number, not source IP. It will do what? It will use the same public IP for all the communications, only it changes the port number, and that is why it is called port address translation. So we have these kind of NAT. We have NAT and also we have PAT. This PAT is also called NAT overload. It is also called NAT overload. Now we will see how we can configure it. Now before configuring it, when we go for configuration, then there are some terminologies. That means when we try to configure it, it will ask for these things. That means first is linked local, inside local address. Now inside local address, that means what? The address of the private, that means the private address which we want to translate. Basically when you see this design here, we have this PC in our LAN network, internal network, then it is the router who is doing the NATing, then this is the public address which we are using for this private IP, and this is the server on the internet we want to connect. So when we talk about linked local address, so it is the address which we want to translate, it is the private address which we want to translate. So in this scene, in this image, this is the address. This one, 192.168.1.2, it will be called as a inside local address. Then inside global address, that means it is the public address which we want to transfer, which is translated into, this is the public address which will be translated for this private. That means this private address I want to translate into this public address, 14.132.1.3. So this public address for us will be inside global address. So inside local address is the address which it is the private address which we want to translate, and inside global address is the address which we want to translate from this private address. It is the public address. Then there is another terminology, it is called global, inside global and inside local. Now inside global is basically the address on the internet, like for example this web server which our client wants to connect. So when this client wants to connect to this web server, so this web server is, it will be considered as a inside global, a outside global address for this local address. Now outside local address is actually also the same address. It will be also same address which is also the web server address, or if it can find, then it is the address which is configured on the routers of this network. Basically it is the same address as the outside global address. Outside global and outside local will be the same addresses. Because we don't need to configure this, we can see this when we configure the translation, and when the translation happens, then we can see that addresses, but basically we don't configure it. So these are the terminology we should know before configuring the NAT. And then when we try to configure the NAT, then we have two options. We can configure the dynamic NAT or static NAT. Now static NAT means what? We will map each private IP with each public IP manually. Remember, this configuration will be totally manual. That means every IP we mention manually. Like I will mention 10.1, when 10.0.0.1 comes, then translate into 20.0.0.1. Then 10.0.0.2 comes, then translate into 20.0.0.2. So everything will be manual. Now this is what it is not easy to configure, because if suppose you are having 5,000 private IPs, then you are mapping what with the 5000 IPs, public IPs. That means it is what very difficult to do that, because you have to add at least 5000 lines in your router. But it will do what? It will fix the IP. That means it will not change the IP, and it will work faster than the dynamic one, because every private IP will have the public IP and it will not change. It will remain fixed, static, and that is why it is also called static. Now in other hand we have dynamic. Dynamic will do what? It is a dynamic configuration. Now here when we configure dynamic, so basically what we do, we create the pool of public addresses. Pool of public addresses, that means suppose I have a pool of 5000, I have a 5000 private IPs, so I will create the 5000 public IPs pool. Now in this case I don't have to map each and every IP one by one. So this configuration is much easier than the static one. That means you don't have to, for 5000 private IPs to map, and I don't have to add the 5000 entries. I can make only two commands. Two commands can be configured this setting. So only two commands, by using only two commands we can configure it. And then with the pool, we will configure only the pool. We will give that, we will mention this is the start IP address, this is the end IP address, and this is the all IP addresses we have. Now what happened? Whenever the any client machine, any client data comes, then it will be automatically translated with the free IP. So whatever the free IP will be there, it will be automatically translated into public IP. So router will do what? It will translate into automatically available public IP from the pool. So whatever public IP available in the pool, it will use that IP and go to WAN network. So this is what dynamic. Now it will do what? It is configuration is easy, and one more thing in dynamic we can do, we can save some public IPs also. That means we can do what? For 5000 private IPs we can use only 1000 public IPs. So because it is not one-to-one mapping, so whatever IP is available, the private IP will be used. That means the host sends the data, so whatever the private IP is, public IP is available in the pool, it will use that IP. So we can use less IP than the private, and we can save some public IPs. So this way in dynamic we can save some IPs, but there is only there is one problem here in dynamic, that we don't have a control here. That means who can go and who can use the pool, we can't say. It is not in our control. That means if I suppose want some IPs should not be translated, then that control is not in my hand. In static, if I don't want some client, some IP should not be translated, then I will not map it. If suppose I want that 10.1.20.3 should not be translated, then I will not map that IP. So if I don't map it, then it cannot be translated. And if it is not translated, then it will not able to access the internet. In dynamic, because we are using the pool and dynamically it is using the mapping, so there we are not able to decide like which IP should be mapped and which IP should not be mapped. Now for that, in dynamic configuration, we can use the access list. So when we configure the dynamic netting, then actually we have to use the access list. And with the help of access list, we can manage that who can be translated, which IPs can be translated and which IPs cannot be translated. And we can also save some IPs, but if we want to save lots of IPs, then we can do PAT. And PAT means also NAT overload. And it will use the same public IP for everyone, and it will only translate do the translation based on port addresses. And because the port address counter is 16-bit, so on 16-bit we can have a numbers from 0 to 65,536. So we have almost more than 60,000 port numbers available. So our one IP, one public IP can be used for almost 60,000 private IPs, and it can work properly. But these NATing and basically this dynamic and overload NATing will put lots of load on the router. So you have to have a router who can handle, which can handle these amount of processing, because the router is already doing the routing, and it also have to do this NATing. So we have to make sure the router is able to handle it. Otherwise the router will get little slow. So now first we will see configuration of static NAT. Static NAT configuration. Now remember, it is what, 1-to-1 mapping. So if you are having 100 or 5,000 private IPs, then you need same 5,000 public IPs also. So let me show you this configuration first. It is easy. Okay, so this is our design. We have this and router 1, and there is router 2, and in router 1 we have a private network of 10.0.0.0, where we have these machine IPs 10.1, 10.2, 10.3. So we can assume like this is our private network, and if we want to go to the outside the private network, that means we can assume like this is our WAN, and if we want to go to the WAN network, then we have to go from here. Now remember, WAN networks are not accepting the packets which is having this source addresses, this private source addresses. So what we have to do, we have to configure the NAT on this router 1. Now for configuring the NAT, suppose we are having 3 addresses here, 3 public addresses, private addresses. So we need same 3 public addresses also. So on this interface we have this public address configured 20.1. So we can assume like we are having the range of 20 available on private, this public IPs, range of public IPs available of this on this interface, and that is what, 20. So we have a range of public IPs is 20, and private IP we have 10. So network 10 is our private IP and network 20 is our public IP available. So we can do what? We can first configure the static NAT. Now static NAT is what? It is actually 1-to-1 mapping. Let me add one more machine here. Let's say I add 2 more machines. I will give this machine 10.4 IP and this machine 10.5. .0.0.4. is the gate. Now we have these machines. Now what I will do, I will try to connect from this machine here before doing the NATing. Now here how we will know that the NATing is working. Now when I ping to 10.1, 10.0.0.1, so when the reply comes back, remember the reply packet is coming back. Now we can see the reply, in the reply it is showing the same IP 10.1 which I pinged. Now when you ping 10.1, so what happened? The request goes from here, source address 30.1, destination 10.1. It's okay. It will go from here, it will go into router 1, and then from router 1 it will go here. Now this machine will get the request, ping request, and then it will reply. Now the reply comes back. Now when the reply comes back, so the source address will be 10.1 and the destination address will be 30.1. So when this reply packet goes from here and when it crosses this router, now from here we will do what? NATing, and we will convert this 10.1 into 20. Some IP. So now what happened when the reply packet comes from here and when we see the reply on this screen, so what we will see here, we will ping the 10.1 but we will see the reply of public IP. So we will ping the private IP but the reply comes back and it will be translated on the router 1 and we will see the public IP which we mapped. So let's see how we'll do that. So what I will do, first let's say if we ping 10.1 we get the reply from 10.1. If we ping 10.2 we will get the reply from 10.2. So first we will check that we are getting the proper replies or not. Now 10.3 it will reply from 10.3. .4 and we will get the reply from 10.4. And when we ping for 10.5 we will get the reply from 10.5. So it is working properly. But now what I will do, I will configure the NAT. Now static NAT means one-to-one mapping, and the mapping that means if we want to allow somebody to go through the router through the NAT, then we map the IP of that machine, and if we don't want, then we will not map. So if you are having a map, then it will be translated, and if you are not having a map, then it will not be translated. So how you will do this? So first we'll open the router here and we will go to the config mode and the command is ipNAT. Now when I give question mark here, it says inside or outside. Now inside address translation, that means the address, we are translating the address which is going from in to out. So basically we do always the configuration for inside, in to out. That means from inside network to internal network to outside and external network. So I will use inside. Now it is saying source. You have to mention the source address translation because always we will do the translation for source address. Outside we will translate outside for the destination address. So that is very rare we do. We don't do that basically. So what we do here is the source address translation. Because in our source address we have a private address and we want to translate it into public address. So I will say source. Then when I give question mark, it says what do you want to do? Static. So we want to make a static NATing. So we will select what? Static. Now when I say static and give the question mark, then it says mention the local inside local address. Say inside local IP address. Now remember, inside local IP address is the address of the local internal network which we want to translate. So in our design, I want to translate it to this 10.1. I want to translate this 10.1. So what I will do here, I will mention 10.0.0.1. Then when I give question mark, it said what is your inside global address. Now inside global address will be the public address which we want to translate. So this source address we want to translate it into this private 10.1 to which public address. So on the public WAN interface we have range of 20. So what I will configure here is this one of that 20 range IP. So let's say I will go with 10 or okay 11, no 10. So I am saying that if 10.1 comes, then translate it into 20.10. And when you give question mark, the command is completed. So I want to map 10.1, 10.0.0.1 to 20.0.0.1 and enter. Now this is the option, this is the command to create the static mapping. And this is what you have to do one by one. So one by one you have to map all your private IPs, So one by one you have to map all the private IPs, and that can be a big configuration. Right now we have only 5 IPs, but if you have a 1000 IP, 2000, 4000 or 5000, then it will take lots of time. But this is how it works. So I will configure the IP for 10.2, 10.0.0.2. Now I say 10.0.2 should become 20.0.0.11. Then I say IPNet inside source static 10.0.0.3 should be translated into 20.0.0.12. Now remember I said that if you don't want someone to be translated, then you will not make the map. So I will not make map for 10.4. So I will say inside source static, I will directly map for 5. I am not making map for 4, 10.4. I say 30. So the map which you don't make, that will not be translated. And remember, if it is not translating and if it is remain the private address, then it will not be able to access the WAN network. WAN network will be only accessed through the public IP. And if it is not translating, that means it is not able to access it. Now the mapping is done. And we can check show IPNet, and we can verify by this command. Show IPNet, we can say translation. So it will show you the map. Now we have mapped this statically. So it is inside global to inside local to inside global is mapped. Outside is not showing here, outside global, outside map, because it is not mapped and it will be the same address. It will show the same address when you do some communication. Right now it is mapped, but it has not done any communication. Now remember, for 10.4 I have not mapped. Now it will still not work if I try to do the communication again. If I try to ping 10.1, it should see it should reply the 20.10. Now when you see I ping 10.1, it is still reply from 10.0.0.1. It is not coming, it is not showing the reply from 20.0.0.10. Now why? Because still the translation is not working. We have just created the translation, we have just created the mapping, but we have not enabled it. Now we have to tell the router that when the data should be translated. Now when the data should be translated, it is like an access list. In access list, what we do, we after creating the list, we mention the router that where to apply and from which interface the data comes in and which interface the data goes out. So we have to mention that when the data comes from this interface or goes out from this interface, then you have to do the translation. Otherwise, don't do the translation. Now in this case, all these IPs, all these machines will send the data to the WAN network. So they always go in to this interface. That means this fast Ethernet 0/0. So they will always go from this interface and they always go out from this interface. So we have to make sure that we will configure properly that where and when the translation will be done. That means in which interface data goes in and which interface data goes out, and then you have to do the translation. And that is like same access list, applying the access list. So same like that, applying the NAT translation also. So what I will do here now, because they are going in from this interface, so I will configure NAT in on this fast Ethernet interface, and on this interface they are going out, so we can configure on this interface out. So I will go to router now, and I will go to the interface fast Ethernet 0/0, and here I will give command IP NAT, and when you give question mark, it says what do you want. You want to translate inside or you want to translate outside. That means which time you want to translate. You want to translate it when it goes in, or where you want to translate it when it goes out from this interface. So all these IPs will go in from this interface. So I will say that translate it when they come inside. It is just like assigning the access list, configuring applying the access list. And it will be translated when it goes in from this interface. And if suppose I am configuring on this serial interface, so I will say IP NAT outside, because it goes in from here and out from here. So if we configure in and out both, then what router will do? If it goes in from this interface and out from this interface, then only it will translate. And if it goes in from this interface and out from some other interface, then it will not be translated. So what we say, we want to say like where should be the translation, like when the data goes in from this interface and out from this interface, then it should be translated, or only in and anywhere it is going, it should be translated. So I will say in and out, so I will say from here outside. That means I am saying that when it goes in from fast Ethernet and goes out from this serial interface, do the translation. Now our access list our NATing is now configured properly, and this is a static NATing. So one to one we have to map every IP, and now we can check from which IP we are getting the reply. So now when I ping 10.1, now we see the reply is coming from 20.1, 0.0.10. Now why it is saying, why the reply is coming from 20.1? Because the router is doing the translation. So when the data the request goes from here to this machine 10.1, it is not translated. But when the reply comes back, and the source IP is 10.1, so when it reaches the router, so router do the translation and translate this 10.1 to 20.10. And when we see here the reply, it shows 20.0.0.10. It is like coming this packet is coming from 20.0.0.10. Why? Because the router has translated the packet. Now when I try to ping 10.2, I am getting the reply from 20.11. If I ping from 10.3, I am getting the reply from 20.0.0.12. If I ping 10.0.0.4, remember we have not done the translation. We have not did the translation for this IP. So when I do this, we are getting the reply from the same IP. Why? Because it is not translating. Now it is getting the reply, but if it is a WAN network, So private IP will not work and it will not be able to access, because it is using the same private IP to access the WAN connection. If I try to ping 10.5, so it will reply with 20.0.0.30, because it is also doing the translation. So this is what static NAT. Now we can check and we can verify by using show IP NAT translation. Now you can see these global addresses also, and you can see these addresses are same. Outside local and outside global, both are same, because these are the machine, these are the outside machine on the WAN network, which is we are doing the connection. And it is showing for the one packet, like being send 4 packets, so 4 packet for this translation of this 10.20 10.0.5, 4 translation of this IP, 4 translation of the other IP. So you can see what is translation. Then we can see the statistic also. Show IP net statistics. So what we have here, total translation has done for 2, and the 4 and 4 is what? All 4 is static. We have not done dynamic. Outside interface is this serial interface, inside is this interface. Hit and miss. So 54 packages are there, misses, and expired translation is 16, and dynamic is no dynamic is there. Now this is those packets, those which is not have been translated, those have been missed. So those have been missed. Now we have not sent that much of packages, and some of them expired also. Now those missed packages are for the other thing, like when you configure the routing protocol, so those protocols also do exchange their information together. So in this router I have configured the RIP, so RIP also sends the information, and that will not be translated because we have not made any translation for it, and those update packets are going out from this interface. So because they are not translating, so they are missing, and they are missing these much packets. And this is what static translation. Now static is not easy to configure because it will take time, because if you have lots of IPs, then you have to make one by one map for all IPs. Now if you want to remove it, then again you have to remove it one by one. So as you have added, the same way you have to remove it also, one by one. So if I want to remove this mapping, then I have to remove it like this is the command which I use to map. So I have to put no before the command. And that means what? One by one you have to add, you have to remove each mapping like this. Then I have made mapping for this one. So I will put no here also. No here also. No here also. So by this way we can remove those mapping. Now we can see that there is no mapping, but still some packets are missing because of that RIP. RIP is trying to send the packets and it is not translating, because now we are not having any map. So if you want to remove it, then if you want to remove this inside or outside, so it will stop looking for the translation. So we can go to the configuration mode, interface serial 0/0, and say no IP NAT. Here we have configured outside. Then interface fast Ethernet 0/0, and here again no IP NAT, and here I have configured inside, so no inside also. Now when you check the statistics, now it is not showing any statistics because now it is not trying to do the translation. And when you see the translation, so there is no translation also. Now this is what is static translation, it's static NAT. Now we will see dynamic NAT configurations. Now this dynamic NAT configuration is much easier than the static one, because in static you have to configure one by one map for each and every IP, and it could be difficult for if you have multiple IPs available. So we can use dynamic NAT configuration if you have lots of IPs and you want to translate lots of IPs. So let's see how we can do this. Now again in the same network, now I have removed, last time I have removed the static one, so now I can configure the dynamic one. So first these are the IPs, and if we have removed it, so if you see, if I ping again, it will get the reply from the same IP. Now we are start getting the reply from the same IP because we have removed the previous configuration. Now we will try dynamic. So again I will go to this router. Previous configurations I have removed. There is no translation, there is no statistics. Now I will configure dynamic. Now first thing, that when we use dynamic configurations, dynamic NAT, then we don't have control. We don't have control that which IP should be translated and which IP should not be translated. Because in static, what we do translation, we do the mapping manually, so that control is in our hand. So we only do what we only allow, we only map those IPs which we allow. In dynamic, we will create the pool of IPs, and from that pool of IPs anyone can use, any IPs can be used which is available. So what we do here, we will use access list. For dynamic configuration, it is actually need what? Access list. So access list is given there. The feature of access list is given there to allow or deny somebody. So what we do, we will use access list, and actually for dynamic configuration you have to have access list first. You don't have to apply that access list, you just have to create the access list, and that access list will be used in the NAT, in the dynamic NAT configurations. And when we use that dynamic NAT configurations, that configuration will be filtered by the netting will be filtered by the access list, based on access list. So let's create the access list first. So I will go to configuration mode. Now access list is a standard or extended, whatever. So you can create whatever list according to your requirement and whatever. Now what I will do here, I will create a simple list here. So I am going to create the simple standard list, IP access list 1, and let's say we want to deny somebody. We have 5 IPs there, 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, 10.4 and 5. So I will deny 10.2, and rest of the IPs I will allow. So I will give deny here 10.0.0.2, and rest of the IPs I will allow. So orbit the whole network of 10 with this wildcard. So I created the list, and in that list I have only denied this, and I have allowed the whole rest of the network. Now after creating the list, we are going to use this list, but we are not going to apply this list on any interface. Now what? So this is the list I create. Now the next thing is that we will create the pool. We will create the pool of available public IPs. Whatever public IPs you have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever, you will create the pool. So for creating the pool, we will give command ipnat, and we will use pool. Now you have to mention the name for your pool. You can give any name, whatever the name you want, you can give any name. So I am giving this name as my pool. After the name, now it says mention the start IP. Now start IP, that means we have available IP. Suppose we have available IP 100. So we will mention the start IP and end IP, not all IPs. So I will mention the start IP. So let's say my start IP is, we have a range of 20. So my start IP is 20.0.0.50. Then it is asking what is the end IP. So based on available IPs you have, start IP and end IP you have to give. So start IP is this. So the end IP is let's say 20.0.0.60. So I have total 11 IPs available, and we need only 5. Then you have to make sure you have to give the subnet mask also. So because it is class A, or if suppose you have done the subnetting and this is some kind of some of the subnet of your subnetting, then you can mention the proper subnet mask of that subnet. I have not done subnetting, this is class A, so I will give 255.0.0.0 and then enter. So we have created the pool name is my pool, and the start IP is 20.0.0.50 to 20.0.0.60. Now the requirements have been fulfilled. We have created the list, and also we have created the pool. Now we are ready to create the dynamic NAT. So then we will give command ipnat, and again inside source, and after that you have option to give list. This one is for the static one and this one is for the dynamic one. So list. Now list means what? The access list which we created. So the access list which you created, if you created the access list with number, so you will mention the number. If you created the list with the name, then you will mention the name. I have created the list with the number. So you have two options here, either you use number or name. So I have created the list with the number 1. So it is going to use that list for the filtering. So according to the list, those who is allowed, those will be allowed, and those who is not allowed, they will not be allowed to do the translation. Next, we have to mention the pool. So I will mention the pool here. Then you have to mention the name of the pool. So the pool name is what? My pool. And done. That's it. This is the command, and we don't have to do anything else. So this is what the dynamic NATing configuration. But still we have not applied it. Now you see it is not showing any translation because it is not static, it is dynamic. So the first IP comes, then it will be mapped with the first IP. Second will come, it will map with the second. Third will be mapped with the third. So it will map when it do the communication. Right now no communication because basically we have not enabled it. We have not applied it. You can see there is no statistics. So same as static NAT, we have to apply it on these interfaces. So we have to apply them on those interfaces, whether it is inside or outside. Based on the interface inside or outside, we can configure inside outside just like static. So this interface it is going to be inside and this interface it is going to be outside. So we'll configure inside and outside there. So how we'll do that? We'll go to the router again. Configure terminal and then I'll go to interface fast Ethernet 0/0 and I will say IP NAT from this interface inside. Then interface serial 0/0 from this interface IP NAT outside. And now we can see we have configured what? We have configured the dynamic one, but till now there is no translation happens, so it's not showing anything. These things are missing. These are RIP packages are missing. And what we have done, dynamic mapping for inside source. This is the access list and this is the pool, and this is the pool which we have these range of IP addresses. Type of generic and local addresses are 11 and right now no addresses are allocated, no addresses are missed. Now when you see the translation, it is also not showing anything because it has not done any translation. So let's try one now. Now again remember it is not sequential now, because anyone who comes first it will get the first IP and the one which come the next it will get the next IP. So it will not be the sequential. So for example, suppose first comes 10.4, so it will get the first IP and you see it is getting what? 20.0.0.50, the first available IP. Next, let's say 10.0.0.5 comes, it gets the next available IP. Then let's say it comes 10.0.0.1, it gets the next IP. 10.0.0.3, it again gets the next IP. 10.0.0.2. Now it is not getting any IP. Remember we have done what? We have used the access list. But remember the access list is only for doing translation or not doing translation. It is not doing blocking. It is not blocking anything. So still it can send the reply, it can do the communication, but translation is not doing. So we are pinging 10.0.0.2 and we are getting the reply from the same 10.0.0.2 because it is not translating. Because in the access list we have denied this IP to do the translation. And when we check the router to verify, we can check show translation and now we can see those packets which is translated, and we can check the statistics. And here we can see 2 addresses are allocated, 18% is used, something is missing. Now last 2 addresses are still mapped and the second 2 addresses, the other 2 addresses are free now. They are available to use. Now in case when you configure the dynamic mapping, not static. So what happened, I said you can use less than private IPs, like your private IPs are 5000 and your public IPs you are using only 1000. Now in this case, when all the 1000 IPs, 1000 public IPs are used, so other IPs will not be able to communicate. They will have to wait. Now sometime what happened when the connection is happened, so because of the slow network that will remain open and it will not be free. So IPs will not be available. It will not be free. So it will still be mapped. Just like here it is saying 2 is still allocated and 2 is the right now from 4 available, 4 translated, it is only 2 right now translated. 2 is still having mapped. So if suppose all your 1000 IPs are allocated, then you will not have any other IP to use. So if it is a dynamic translation, then you can do what? You can free up the IPs. Like you can run the command to clear the mapping. Not in dynamic static, but dynamic you can clear the mappings so that it can do the new mapping. So if you want to do that, then you can run clear IP NAT and you can run translation command. Translation to clear the dynamic translation. Now from here it says what you want to translate, what you want to clear. So you can give star to remove all the translations. Star is the wildcard character, and that means what? I want to clear all the translation which is done. So when it is not being used, like if the connection is not running, if the connection is not established, then it will be cleared. So when you run this command and then check the show IPNet translation, then you can see no allocated IPs. So no translations are there. You can check by show IPNet translation also. And there is no translation. So dynamic translation can be cleared, not static. Static cannot be cleared because it is static. But dynamic translation which we do, it can be cleared so that other machines, other IPs can use those IPs, can use those translated IPs. So this is what dynamic configurations, and it is easier than the static one. Now as it is easier to assign, configure the dynamic, it is easier to remove it also. If we just don't want to apply it, then we can just remove it from the interface. We'll just go to the interface and then we will say no IPNet inside or outside. It will do what? It will just remove it. It will just stop doing the translation. It will just remove the translation, but mapping will still remain. That means our pool is still there, our configuration is still there. I just stop from the translation. So it is not doing any translation, it is not showing any statistics in translation, but the configuration is still there. We can check by the show running configuration, and you can see the configuration which we have made. This is our list and this is our pool, and this is what we have configured for the NAT. So the configuration is still there, only is not applied. So if we want to apply it, so we just have to do what? We just have to go to the interface and we have to just add inside or outside, and it will start working again. Now if we want to remove it completely, then what we will do? We will remove the mapping, show IPNet, no IPNet, inside source list 1 pool, and then just like this. You don't have to give more command here. That's it. Finish. You have removed the mapping. If you want to remove the pool, so just remove it from no IPNet pool, the name of the pool, and then that's it. It will remove the pool also. Now access list. So if you want to remove the access list, simple, no access list 1, remove. Now I remove the whole configuration and you can check by show running configuration. So it is not applied on any interface and the other configurations are also remove the mapping, remove the pool, remove the access list. So it is easier to remove also and it is easier to configure also, and by using the access list we can manage who can access and who cannot access the translation also. Next is port address translation, PAT. Now PAT do what? It do the translation based on port address, source port address. So it will not use, it will actually use the same public IP for all the machines, and it can go up to more than 60,000 private IPs, and it can use the same public IP for everyone, but it will do the translation based on the source port. Source port can be any, and it can be any between 1 to 65,535. It can be any port number. So if you leave some of the well-known port numbers also, so you need well-known port numbers are from 1 to 1023. So if you leave that also, still you will remain with the more than 60,000 port numbers. So you can use more than 60,000 port numbers, 60,000 different private IPs on only one public IP. Now configuring this, it is also called NAT overload. Now why it is called NAT overload? Because of the configurations I will show you. So what it will do, so let's see how we can configure it. Now when we configure it in our packet tracer, so there is no option of there is no option for us to see the source port number changing, but we can see that every machine will get the reply from only single IP. But the reply is coming from different IPs, different machines, but the reply will show only single public IP. So let's see how we can do this. Now again in this network, I have removed the previous configuration, dynamic NAT. Now I will do what? I will do overload, NAT overload, I will do PAT. Now when I do PAT, so when we ping from this host, when we ping any IP, like if I ping 10.1, so now it is giving the reply from the same 10.1, but it will reply from only one public IP. When I ping 10.2, it will also send the reply from the same public IP. So when you ping any of these IP 10.1, 2, 3 or 4 or 5, we will get same reply. We will get the reply from the same public IP because we will use the same public IP. But the replies are coming from these different machines itself. So how we will configure it? Now the configuration for PAT is actually same as dynamic NAT. It is the same configuration. Everything is same. Everything is same as dynamic NAT. There is only one extra option we mentioned in dynamic NAT configurations. So there is only one extra option we mentioned there. Let's see what is this. So it is same as dynamic NAT. So same as dynamic NAT, first what we need is the access list. So the first thing we need is access list. So let us create, I will use access list now 10, number 10, and if you want to deny something, then we can deny. Okay, let's deny this. Now this time I will deny and then I want to allow the rest of the network. Now access list is done, and this is the access list. This time I am denying only 10.3 and rest of the IPs can do the translation. Now we have to create the pool. Now here we have a little change. I will create IP NAT pool and then name of the pool. So this time I will say name of the pool will be my PAT. Now you have to mention the start IP. Now remember, we have only one IP. We have only one public IP. So if you have only one public IP, then what will be the start IP and what will be the end IP? So basically, they will all the both IPs will be same. So start IP and end IP, both the IPs will be same. So if suppose I have only single IP, let's say 10.20.0.0.100. So I have only this IP available, this public IP. So the start IP will be this, and what will be the end IP? So end IP will also be the same. That means I have only one IP, which is 20.0.0.100. Then what is the network mask? So you have to mention it. So according to your subnet or subnetting, you will mention the subnet mask also. Done. Now till now it is the same configuration as the dynamic. We created the ACL, we created the access list, then what we did, we created the pool. Only the difference is that in the pool we have only one IP. Then we will use the mapping. Now for mapping also we will use the same command. Same command is IP NAT, then inside source, then the list and the list number 10, then the pool, and the pool name is what? My PAT. Now till now it is the same command as the dynamic. Now what is the different here is this. So at the end of this command you will mention overload. Now this overload means we want to configure the net overload. Net overload is what? PAT. So if you want to configure only dynamic net, then you will use this, directly enter here, or if you want to use PAT, then you can use this command. Now if suppose I press enter here, then it will use dynamic net, and that means what? It will try to use only single IP. Now remember, in the pool we have only one IP, so this single IP will be used for all the available private IPs. Now this will make very slow our network. As much as private IPs we have, and that will become slow. Now because we have only one IP, I will go for overload. And now what it will do? It will do based on the port number, and then enter. Now this is the NAT configuration. This is also called NAT overload, and that is why basically it is called NAT overload. Now we have to apply it in the same way like we applied the static and dynamic. We will apply this also. So I'll go to the interface, fast internet 0/0, where it is going to be in. So I'll say inside, and on interface serial 0/0, it is going to be out. Now it is applied, and we can check show IP net translation. Right now it has not done any translation. We can check the statistics. So it is statistics, and we can see how many addresses we have. Only one. Now let's see how it works. Now when I ping 10.0.0.2, you see I'm getting the reply from 20.0.0.100. Now when I ping 10.1, again I'm getting the reply from 20.0.0.100, and I'm getting it very quickly. Why? Because it is using PAT, it is not using dynamic. If I ping for 10.5, still I'm getting the reply from the same IP. If I try to ping it for 10.3, now this one is what? It is blocked, it is denied. So it is not doing the translation, it is replying with the same IP. 4 is also be translated, and is using the same IP. So this is what NAT, this is what the PAT, NAT overload. Now here we are not able to see the port number which it is using. So we can check it by using the simulation mode. So I will enable the simulation mode. And I will try to ping first 10.1. Now if you see here, packet is ready to send, and what it is going to be for this IP. Okay, and here also we are not seeing any port number, so we are not able to see the port number translation here. But let's see the packet is exactly going to this machine or not. So when you ping, it goes here, from here to this router, and from there it goes to the switch, and you see it is going exactly to this router, to this machine. Now see what is here. If you see the packet, it comes in as like this, like it is coming in from this source, and it is coming for this destination. Now when it is going out, so the source become destination and destination becomes source. So when the packet sends this machine sends the reply, so it will go out, and the out will go for this 30.1, and the source address will be 10.1. Now see where it is going to be changed. So it is going to be changed on this router. So when it goes here, now on this switch does not understand any IP addresses. It is a layer 2 device. So if you see here, it is not showing layer 3. It is only showing layer 2. So you will not see IP addresses. Now when you go to the router, now here you will see it is doing the translation. Now here when it comes into the router, it was source address was 10.1. Now when it is going out, now check the source address. Source address is changed to 20. So the translation is happening on this router when it is going out. We can check inbound detail, and can we see the port number here? No. So here it is doing the translation, and we can see it is exactly, the reply is coming from exactly 10.1. But because we have done the translation, the IP is changed on the router when it comes back. So this is the configuration of NAT overload, or we can say PAT. So the configuration is basically same as dynamic, only the difference is what we add the extra option overload. Now to verify the NAT configuration, we can check show IP NAT translation, and also we can check show IP NAT statistics. Now for doing the troubleshooting, and also we can do what, we can clear the translations, so that when it is mapped and we want to clear the mapping, and it can be done on only dynamic, so you can use this clear IP NAT translation star command to clear the translations. Now troubleshooting the NAT. So when you face a trouble, when you face any problem, now in some cases you may have a trouble connecting to the internet from your internal network. So if you're trying to connect from your internal network, internal IP that is private, try to connect the internet and it is not connecting it. So this may be as a result of problem with NAT. That means your NAT is not working properly. So therefore the troubleshooting of NAT is usually very critical to restoring the internet connectivity in our networks. So as such, the steps shown below here are used to troubleshoot and verify the NAT operations. operations towards restoring the internet connectivity or ruling it out as the cause of the problem. So if it is the problem, then try to solve it, or it could be a different problem. So we can do what? We can rule out this also. So first, do the troubleshooting. The first thing you have to do, the identify and define the purpose of NAT in your network. So first you have to define the purpose of your network, NAT configure in your network. So this is meant review whether NAT accomplishes the task it has been configured for. So first you have to check that what you have done and what you have configured it for. You have configured static, you have configured dynamic, and which list you have configured. So you have to make sure that to check the list that whether it is configured properly or not. After that, you will verification of NAT translation can help identify if the correct IP for inside local addresses are being translated into global address. So you will check the show IP NAT translation command to see whether it is properly translating or not. Like this IP, which the private IP is properly translated into public IP or not. Then we can do what? We can clear the NAT process and use the debug IP NAT command to see if the problem are fixed. So what we'll do, we should clear the dynamic NAT mapping, and then we can use the debug command to get the to check whether it is doing or working properly or not. Now this step entails verification of the translation that are occurring on a router actively by using the debug IP NAT command. So if we want to see some problems, then we can use debug command for IP NAT, and it will do what? It will start showing you the messages related to the translation and whatever it is doing. So this is what the troubleshooting steps. Let's check this debug IP NAT command. We have configured the port address translation here. So when you do the translation, it is working properly. But in case, we should check the debug. We should check the debug to see what is happening in the background. So we go to the router, and I will clear the translations first. Clear IP NAT translations all. Now I will use debug IP NAT command. Now I enable the debug. Now I will try this. I will try to do the translation, and let's see what messages it shows. So it shows here that NAT is doing the job. Source address this comes in and is translated into this address, and the destination is this. So it is doing properly because it is doing properly. Let's do this. Let's try to translate this IP, which is not doing the translation. We have used it for which IP? Okay, we have denied this 10.3. So now I will try to ping to this. Now it is not doing translation. So when I check this router again for debugging, so what I see here, we see some other thing which is not that translation, it is different. It is showing expiring this. Now what it is doing here, it is expiring this map. Now actually that was not translated, so it is not showing anything because it is not translating, but it is showing this, that expiring this map. So when we did this ping, so it mapped this IP with this IP. Now it is removing that, it is clearing the IP here. So you can see dynamically it do what? It will clear the IP also. So after one communication, the IP will be allocated to that private IP. Then after some time, like it is this private IP, this public IP is allocated. Now after some time it will do what? It will remove, it will clear it, and it will do expire this, and then that IP will be available to allocate. So this is what debug command. You want to remove it, no debug IP. So very simple. These are the troubleshooting steps we have. So these are the troubleshooting steps, and these are the configurations of NAT. We have configured static NAT, dynamic NAT, and also NAT overload, which is also called PAT.